Ready to kick off the day here in Grandmasters Europe, at least for Pavel and Casie kicking off their match number 1. And we had a roller coaster last week with Casie, didn't we? As we did have some matchups there, matches he did need to win quite desperately, and he did manage it, which puts himself in a much more secure position. You can see the double warrior bands and what the players have got there. But I do just want to read something out very quickly from Casie. He did tweet this not like 23 minutes ago here.
Okay,
for us at least. This
won't
work in the actual timeline. But really important games for me this weekend. 2 and 1. The next 3 games means playoffs. 1 and 2 means relegation. 0 and 3 means I'm out. So difficult times. Can't seem to figure anything out to get an edge currently. Trying to play my best and get slightly fortunate. So basically, Casie still needs to do very well to be able to be safe in Division B and not be up for relegation. But he seems like he's been, like you said, difficult to find an edge in this meta, he feels, or at least just for this week. So it really is just going to be all put on him in just his performance in game.
Yeah, he just kind of did our jobs for us, right? That sets this up perfectly for him. It's because the Division B is so compressed that there are those 6 players, I believe, on 2 and 2 that he can talk in terms like that, and it's pretty accurate. You can see here he has brought the Galakron Priest again, which is similar to his strategy last week. Last week he went back and forth. He banned Warrior in one series and didn't ban Warrior in another series. Now he's gone back to banning Warrior again. I did kind of like shout out on the broadcast, like, I'm going to get the DM from Casie. And I did, in fact, talk to him quite in depth about his ban strategy. Some of which he said was, private information that he doesn't want to reveal for, competitive advantage purposes,
Reasonable.
Which, of course, I will respect. But he does have a logical progression as where these bans are going. It might seem a bit haphazard to the onlooker, but when I had his numbers and his strategy explained to me by the man himself, it did start to make a lot more sense.
Okay, yeah, and that's the thing as well, as we take a look at Pavel's decks. Pretty interesting there with the Malios and more slightly dragon-focused druid options that we've been the likes of, for example, Boar Control actually be streaming a good chunk of in the past few days leading up to this weekend. But also his rogue there, a little bit different with that stealth package, just not the most common rogue I think we've seen overall, at least in Europe. But yeah, it's one of those things, right? When we talk about ban strategies and lineup strategies overall, a lot of what we talk about is just, our view on it, maybe some information for the players, but we can't always just go, so tell me exactly what your, future plan is for this lineup and exactly how you're going to ban against everyone.
Yeah.
Guess what? People won't want us to really talk about that
and
announce that to their opponents. So, yeah, there is always the amount that is just completely down to the player that's to a certain extent private. But it sounds like these players are getting ready to get into their first match. And it is just going to be an interesting one for me because both players have Rogue, both players have Demon Hunter up, but then Priest versus this like Malygos Druid just seems like a bit of an unknown factor, at least for me, Salt.
It does. We'll get into that more if and when we do get to it. But I did watch Boar, who created the deck, stream a ton of it. And I sort of do have some thoughts on some matchups and also just, whether the deck should exist, whether it was all just a giant bait all along. But, we'll potentially get into that later. Because now we're going to kick things off as we hopefully mean to continue with a good old-fashioned aggro mirror.
Yep, and just give you the quick rundown of the list. Casie bringing pretty much the expected Demon Hunter list this week, which still includes those Beaming Sidekicks, but has the addition of the Vulpera Scoundrels in there, which we can keep an eye on the performance of that. Whereas meanwhile, Pavel is still including 1 Sigil Runner, he has 1 Sightless Watcher, 1 Spectral Vision, and he's not running any Vulperas. Kind of just like typical of Pavel, to keep up with the meta or the tech cards, as he definitely does like to stick to his guns a little bit longer than most.
Casie is off to the races already, absolutely flying through these early game turns. Pavel, quite happy to keep pace.
It's all looking actually scarily even with both players having Satyr, Overseer, and Frozen Shadow Weaver along with that Mowing. Pretty weird, actually.
Yeah, Casie here diverting, though, to shut down the potential Satyr Overseer turn from Pavel, but as you mentioned, Pavel has the opportunity to just do the same thing straight back. Casie just takes 1 free face damage here, which is pretty smart, I guess, in the scenario. The difference between 2 damage on board and 1 damage on board, not actually super relevant.
Mm-hmm. That's the Sigil Runner for Pavel. So we're starting to see the differences almost just in stark contrast here, right? Vulpera Scoundrel in Casey's hand, and the Sigil runner in Pavel's. And there's some good spots here. Vulpera Scoundrel has a good chance of at least getting one cheap spell off it, either 0 or 1 mana, that can, swoop in with that same turn for Casie next. And I wonder if it's just going to be the ever-present mana burn that seems to be coming up more and more often last couple of days.
He also just has...
He even wants to go for it.
Yeah, Second Slice and Hero Power plus the Overseer this turn. Kill the 4/3 along with the trade from his 1/1. Generate a big board.
Warglaves have changed that idea though, because Warglaves next turn and then Overseer is insane.
It is. It's definitely a consideration as well.
Job's done.
I think Casey's saying I'll take a medium board now over a huge board later.
We're with you.
This is actually just a mirror match in the truest sense of the word.
Yeah, they're just locking in every turn exactly the same. It's so funny. But now it's going to start to differ, right? As Casie just having the Warglaves down first, being able to swing it first, does make quite a large impact here. He gets to defend his Shadow Weaver.
Yep, this is the big deal. Decently sized minions stuck to the board and actually connecting face. It's what makes the big difference in the Demon Hunter mirror. You can go back and forward, just taking damage on your own face by killing your opponent's minions. Doesn't matter too much. As long as minions don't get to hit twice, you're usually okay in the matchup.
Right. You even see Pavel now just looks like he's going to be dropping down that Sigil runner.
Ooh, I-beam first, good ordering. Vulpera Scoundrel will put the card he discovers back on the right-hand side of his hand, blocking that outcast from the I-beam.
It's there, and it could absolutely wreck Pavel, but Casie doesn't go for it.
The what, sorry?
It was Mana Beam, and Mana Burn as an option. If he'd gone for it, that would have just completely locked out. It's so much of Pavel's turn there.
It was there? Am I blind? It's Consume Magic, Twin Slice, and I-beam, wasn't it?
Pretty sure it was Mana Burn.
Okay.
He drew I-beam.
Okay.
I'm so confused now.
I'll believe
I'm
you.
questioning myself now. I've gone that bit where I'm just questioning myself.
Casie now just pushing face as hard as possible. This I-beam from Pavel could be huge here because he has such a heavy resource advantage with the double skull that Casie really has very little choice here but to go face as hard as possible.
Yeah, a little bit one-dimensional because of the lack of skull, as you mentioned. So, but there is a huge health difference, and these are when the games get very, very close indeed. Because now does Pavel focus on just this this removal, or realistically now with this Warglaves, can he actually just do it all? Right? Can he clear the board and put pressure on? Because I wonder if Pavel's actually it's ever worthwhile freezing the minion and just I-beaming the Vulpera. Or do you think he needs to freeze face this turn? Oh, he's just scored again.
Wow, hits the Altruis as well.
But he's blocked. Well, to a certain extent.
It's still pretty powerful currently.
It is.
Derek has just confirmed to us that you are the same one, and there was a mana burn there, by the way.
Okay, good. I was starting to be like, wow, you sound really sure that there wasn't a mana burn. Ooh. Anyway, the I-beam there gonna help secure Pavel's health just a little bit. And he has got an Omega turn if he survives long enough.
Oh! Oh! Oh, the draw!
As well, so he can do it. Insane.
Oh my goodness, that top deck for Casie, and look at that sigh of relief for him. He knows he was drawing dead there apart from that that metamorphosis because of the I-beam outs from Pavel. Wow, what an important draw that could end up being for Casie's GM season and his GM career in general.
Yeah, absolutely huge here. And he was saying, you know, he's not seen a great way to get an edge in the lineup, so really does just have to perform on the day. And it was definitely scary because there weren't even any other draws. A lot of the time you can go, oh, well, Metamorphosis or another Warglaves is a good draw because normally we just talk about high damage output in general, but Casie didn't have time, right? That was the big issue. There was no time to go, okay, Warglaves swing a couple of times over the course of a couple of turns to do the damage. He was pretty much going to die, at least what we could see. So it was very, very close indeed. But Casie does go to a 1-0 lead, taking a win in that mirror match. We're going to go to a very quick break while we get ready for game number 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Some more Grandmasters. We are back, and in case you missed it, yes, game 1 has already happened, and Casie took a very close victory over Pavel there. So if you're just tuning in, turn up earlier next time, and you won't miss it. So we are getting ready to go into to continue this series between Pavel and Casie. And as we were talking about in the break there, it looks like Pavel's just okay with playing Hearthstone at Casie speed, which is quite fast.
It is indeed, yeah. Casie is clearly the hero that we need in European Grandmasters. But at least now the Demon Hunter mirror is out of the way. Casie's, both of his remaining decks are a little bit slower to at least some degree. Rogue is a pretty late game focused deck now, at least in certain matchups. It does still have the ability to end games pretty early. Either way, if it comes up against aggro, either they die quickly or they get a big swing turn and get a race down early. But he does still have that Galakron Priest to pick up a win with as well, which I'm particularly interested in as to how it lines up against some of these matchups on Pavel's side.
Yeah, and I think that's the weird drawback, at least for me, Subtle, is that I actually quite like watching Priest in all the other matchups that isn't the mirror, right? Because then it's very interesting sort of tightrope as to whether they can survive an aggressive push or whether they have the answers to put on enough pressure themselves in certain matchups, like the Quest Warlock matchup. And then you get the mirror, and it's like, okay, well, let's just fast forward, 45 minutes and then start playing the game. We'll talk a little bit more about Priest as we get to it, of course, but Pavel going to go for his Druid this time. Casie on this Rogue. And for those who aren't picking up with Ball Control stream for whatever reason, do you want to just give a quick rundown of why this Druid exists and why it's different from all the Druids we've seen before?
Of why this Druid exists, you say? So I'm not sure. I'm not actually entirely sure whether Boar came up with this deck from scratch, or whether it's a thing he sometimes does where he sees a deck with a fairly low sample size but a good win rate on deck trackers, and then sort of brings it into the public eye by streaming it a bunch. But he did play it a bunch, and it's kind of the Spell Druid shell. A lot of the powerful things that Spell Druid tries to do with Glowfly Swarm and Fungal Fortunes, as well as Exotic Mount Seller, is all in there. But instead of all the additional payoff cards for that, like Power of the Wild, Savage Roar, Soul of the Forest, he's just playing additional dragons. So he can also play the dragon package in Druid right now, for example, Breath of Dreams, to get additional ramp. So he's playing Malagos, Alexstrasza, Ysera Unleashed, and Pavel is playing 2 copies of Emerald Explorer. And those last dragons are kind of the contested spots. Boar messed around with Twin Tyrant. I've seen a Nixier in the deck. Emerald Explorer as well is an option. So generally, it's a much more, I guess, straightforward game plan where you just want to ramp and play really big things over and over again, as to more the token Spell Druid focus strategy of the deck that we see all the time in APAC, for example.
Yeah, and in that just one breakdown, we're already on turn 5 and 6 of the game.
We actually are.
Oh my so fast.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is the opportunity with those swipes as well to do a lot of damage with Malagos, but there is no reduction, which is an interesting change to the deck. Some players were messing around with the Dormant guy who can reduce a minion in hand to make some of the cards cheaper, but there's none of that. Pavel just playing straight up, and now even using those Moonfires and Hellfire to support. God, he's an ultimate support.
Yeah, quite often the Malagos in this deck isn't discount Malagos, swipe you a bunch of times. It isn't the Quest Warlock kind of style. It's more just another big thing, and you can tempo swing with it quite effectively, because you can go Malagos, Moonfire one guy, 0 cost Bog Beam another guy, and just sweep the board out that way to get a full board swing. So it's just a straight up decent card at 9 mana in this deck. So I think the cutting of the discount, it probably was just a little bit too cute. The Imprisoned Satyr, I believe the card is. I think that's what it's called.
Also, as well, just the fact that, very similar to what we've seen a lot with the Ysera versions, is you can also just go Malagos Ironbark, and that big boy is hard to take down a lot of the time.
It is, yeah. Quite often, though, Malagos is just Malagos, so it has Taunt anyway. So quite often you'll just, leave your Malagos, and then, they'll throw all their removal into it anyway, and then you, drop Ysera Unleashed and put your Ironbark on that instead, and they're just out of stuff to kill things.
So far, though, the old Mount Seller is still getting a decent job done of going a little bit wide. I feel like the Mount Seller style is a little bit stronger against Rogue because they don't have sweeping AoEs. They don't have great ways to deal some of the weirder numbers of damage, although 1 and 2 isn't the hardest number to deal with for Rogue. But still, the potential's there to put a few walls in the way, Pavel.
Yeah, most importantly, it's very hard for Rogue to just do 8 from hand. So that Mount Seller is just hanging around for quite some time here. I like this play from Casie, though. This is what I was looking at here. Get your wand value, use a Shadow Step. It's a bit of a sad-looking Shadow Step, but you've got to address some of this board state.
Probably pretty lucky he did that as well, because we can see Pavel. It wouldn't have been lethal, but Pavel had the option of just innovate Alexstrasza. And just put him down to 15 and him for, what I think would have been 13 that turn. Oh, that's a good one.
Still like it, to be perfectly honest. You're under no threat. You can clear the board. Alex, your opponent, smack him for a bunch.
Also, it might just force Casie to do really desperate things because Casie doesn't know there isn't just Malagos in hand. Although he has seen double Moonfire, so he's safe from that.
There you go. Giddy up.
Just good, right? It's just powerful.
Yep. Swipe in hand. So if the diving griffin or above sticks to the board, it's just going to be game.
Very flick-proof as well, isn't it, the Mount Seller board? A lot of the time, anyway.
Yeah, it's not the fabled like 6 Dread Ravens all in the same turn. Okay, rush lackey or damage lackey? Okay. Okay. Casey's doing it.
Secret would have been insane here.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Just bounce the Mount Seller.
Yeah. This board is going bye-bye, though.
There is going to be a rather large Mr. Van Cleef going to be here in the board. It is quite scary, and there's only one swipe here from Pavel.
This means the Mount Seller is staying up. Oh no, he's going to rush the Van Cleef into the Mount Seller. Okay, got it. Makes sense.
He has to, right? Because if he doesn't, he's dead to swipe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was concerned about.
Has to kill off an additional minion. Yeah, there we go.
And now, out of nowhere, Lethal just represented on the other side.
Now, with the Shadow Steps used, though, is it just Ysera into Ironbark?
What was I
Not seeing a better plan.
Again?
Swipe the flick would leave only a 1/1 and the 17 and the 17/10.
Oh, yeah. Okay, get to the
but,
other thing that's still alive with that play.
But he could play the Emerald Explorer along still with an Ironbark if he really wanted to. Just to put something in the way.
No, he couldn't. With swipe? He's
oh,
only
sorry,
on
9 mana. Apologies. It's because he played Alex last turn. I forgot it was with the Innovate. You're completely right, yeah. It almost just has to be the Ysera then, doesn't it?
Yep. Yeah, Emerald Explorer swipe was a real play if you had 10, but since you don't, I just genuinely think this is the only play that's available.
Yep.
Chris Galakrond gives him the full invoke. Wait, Kobold Lackey on its own.
There are a lot of draws as like secret second stunner. Insta wins him the game, of course, as well. There's a secret.
There's secret.
There's a secret. There's a secret.
Oh!
Okay. Ooh.
Although now Seal Fate puts it to 12. He has 7, 8, 9. 12.
Also gains 5, right?
18, 19. Yeah, he was still a little off. Only like 2 off lethal there, I think.
Still though, now with the armor, it means Pavel's got an even bigger hill to climb, right? And it might actually just be undoable without some help from these Ysera portals.
Okay. Weirdly, I think he actually would have had lethal that turn. Obviously, this isn't a missed lethal, but I think he could have done it so that he could have got a free Eviscerate out of his Kael'thas and actually got lethal that turn. That's fun.
What was I thinking of again?
Not surprised that Pavel chose to play this hero as well. His portrait. Druid.
Oh, dude, this is the best. Spooky Tree Girl is the best.
It's the most trolly, that's why.
Have you heard the emotes? Like, they cannot be beaten. They are the best emotes.
Dirty tricks.
Pavel, emote for us. Emote.
You know.
You should attack into a 1/1, right? Oh wait, shouldn't you have took the chance?
What chance?
He attacks into a 1/1 and it's bamboos. Oh no, it won't work, right? Okay, I'm trying to think of if there's anything that nails him.
Were you about to say Doomsayer? Were you about to say Doomsayer?
I'm trying to think of things that will mess him up, but there aren't. Oh, crazy game there for Casie taking the game number 2. And that again just looked so close. Once again, Casie was just almost just dead. And he manages to come back. And honestly, this is just what Casie needs right now. He said how much he needs to win the match. He said how much he needs to just fend off auto-relegation, which is the fear in Division B if you finish in bottom 2 slots. And yeah, games look really close, but he's digging himself out of it. And yes, it was helped to the Van Cleef, but he got there in the end. And that flick, even with just the rush early on, with the help of the Rush Lackey and the Tog, was just huge plays there to keep him in the game. So strong performance from Casie. And suddenly, he only has the Priest to get the job done here. And with the way Priest has been going lately, maybe it's just going to be good enough. Although I'll confess, I'm not quite sure how good the Priest and this Druid matchup is, because Priest doesn't really consistently deal so well with that many big dudes.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Story time with Boar. Again, like if Boar streamed this deck for like 3 days straight, maybe something like that. Like his entire like off time between GM, I think he was pretty much streaming this deck solid throughout that time. At no point did he actually say the deck was good. He was just sort of like, I'm kind of winning enough games that I can look myself in the face and it's fun, so I'm just going to keep playing it. A lot of people did sort of pick it up and start playing it after that point. But also, in his experience, based on what I saw on his stream at least, he was getting dumpstered by Priest over and over again, to the point where he was getting so tilted that he would play his turn as Druid and then tab out and not watch what the Priest did, because he just couldn't bear to watch all of his minions die turn after turn after turn after turn. So based on that small sample, at least, it seems like the Priest does okay in the matchup for sure. But yeah, I'm more interested in a general point as to like whether the Druid is actually a real deck or whether it was just something Boar was streaming for fun. And here we are with a couple of players actually having submitted it for GM.
It's the dreaded, power that some of the top players wield, isn't it? In that if they just tweeted out like a random deck, and it's just like, yeah, this deck's insane, and then just people will try it, people will play it, because that's the it's the kind of respect that these players have earned now. That I think even the most skeptical of pros would just give it a try at worst, wouldn't they? So it's just very interesting to see how that shakes out sometimes. But we are going to be having Priest versus Demon Hunter in our first test of the day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sign me up. Oh, double sign me up. Disciple on 1 into Armet already has Breath and Shadow Madness in his hand. The nutty 3-mana plays on 3.
Yep.
This is looking pretty sick for Casie already.
And I just want to point out as well, we talk a lot about Casie needing wins, in that pretty much all of Division B need wins, because they're all at 2-2, or at least most of them are. So just as much as Casie needs these wins to secure himself, so does Pavel. Because however much we've talked about in the past of Pavel taking this seriously or not at certain times throughout Grandmasters history, I imagine he doesn't want to leave, right? It's not like he's just like, okay, great, I'm going to lose game. So does also
Raven.
need to put these wins in himself.
Raven, you're doing fantastic storytelling right now, and I love it. You're doing your job. Great. This curve is illegal. That's all I want to talk about right now. Like,
I thought it was so obvious it wasn't worth talking about.
Disciple into Penance, into Breath, into Armet. Are you kidding me? Just gonna coin time rip it.
Job done. Why not? He's got another time rip for the other thing he plays next to.
Yeah, very fair. Sure, bit of lifesteal. Why not?
I will say though, I have seen even today, when I've been watching some streams, a similar matchup going this way, or close to, and the Demon Hunter still nearly got there. It still required the Priest to keep up.
Don't know about that one, Chief.
I'm just telling you what happened, Sal.
Okay.
I'm not making it up. I saw it with my own little eyes.
I did wonder about Shadow Madness Renew play the Reliquary of Souls on the previous turn, just to potentially have something in play to be able to contest. But it looks like he was setting up this for the following turn, which does make a ton of sense as well.
Grave Ruin on his 1/7.
Luckily with the I-Beam, Pavel doesn't at least have to straight up 6-7 into that thing.
Right.
Oh my goodness. 5 mana, 4/7 taunt, draw a card. Okay. Oh, Cabal Shadow Priest, sure. Yeah, that seems fine.
Welcome to the club. Join us. We're having a great time over here. Anduin says as he welcomes Cabal Shadow Priest into the fold.
Yeah. Welcome to the team. You're playing for the right side now.
I honestly wondered then if it's... So what have we got coming up for match 2? Let's take a quick check.
Of all the things that I thought were going to give me a meltdown today, this is not how I thought it was going to go.
Not very much else to say, is there?
Okay, that's 10 damage. There's no Apotheosis in hand. There is Kronks to draw Galakron, though.
I feel we have passed silliness in the quality of Casey's game right now. But if we wind back a couple of turns at least, then you start to see my point, right? Casey's still done broken things, and Pavel is only a skull away from being able to put some pressure on. And I will admit right now, the Grave Ruin skull for Casie is probably too much. Well, I'm just saying, even in some rough positions, even on, against Priest, so relentless, and Priest doesn't have unlimited healing, it can still get there with the right cross.
Okay.
Pavel assumes the position. He's like, right, can I actually win this game of Hearthstone right now?
So so real talk now. We've actually got a semblance of a game of Hearthstone, but the problem is that these twin slices don't represent their full damage. Like twin slice with Altruis is insane because it's 4 damage total for 0, which is nuts. Right. But he never gets to hit face anymore. Unless there's a way he can deal with the Grave Rune, pop it open, and then they come back with 4 health because that's what the Armet's at right now, and maybe that he can engineer through that with the Altruis. But that involves using his Metamorphosis to take out the Shielded Galakron that's in play already, which is 5 damage down.
And one thing I just want to point out as well, again, the lack of Vulpera Scoundrel for Pavel means he cannot have a chance at discovering Consume Magic, which probably would actually win him the game here, or at least get him close.
Right.
Because as you quite rightly pointed out, of course, it's the repeat levels of taunts that cause him the issue.
Time Rip wants to fully invoke his Galakron. Interesting.
I was just thinking then, actually. Casie has to be a little bit careful, though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mainly because an I-Beam would be perfect for Pavel, wouldn't it? Put the Amet to 1.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a really good point, actually.
Yeah, like an I-Beam would be like, oh.
Do you see?
But it's I-Beam.
Oh no, actually, because the Armet's getting injured as all the effects go off, so the taunts are only going to come back with 5 health anyway. The Armet will die first.
Yeah, he needs to pop the taunts first.
Yes, exactly. He needs to do it now. Oh! I-Beam draw!
He's still got 7 mana! Why has he still got 7 mana? So we can still hear a power swing for 4. His Glavebound will do 4. His Glavebound will do 5, technically, because he plays it from the side. Will do 5.
And
that's probably just worth... Unless he wants to just play Satyr instead and just get more stuff on board. Maybe that's better than Glavebound.
No way. No way, Raven. Oh! Oh!
But the Altruis still needs to die, right?
Does it? Is it going to deal 5?
Probably. It's Altruis.
Oh, no. Pavel needs card draw and a lot of it.
Oh, that's
2 attacks to get through.
Yeah, because he can do 2 with the Altruis.
Yeah. So it heals for 12.
He has to push additional 5. Which is same numbers now.
He goes down to 5 himself, so the Warglaives and the Glavebound coming back the other way are going to end it for Casie. That was outrageous, Raven.
I will accept your apology whenever you want to send it my way, Sottle, for laughing.
What are you talking about? Priest 1. Easy. Never worried.
Easy. Okay,
never once was I worried. Not a single time.
Look at what Casie did in that game, and look how close Pavel actually got to winning it. whenever you want to send that apology, whether it's today, tomorrow, in a week, that's fine. I'll be here waiting, Sol, because I'm taking that one.
Raven, you did great. You were keeping up the sense of peril for the viewers. You were doing your job as the host of the broadcast. You did wonderful things, but as far as I saw, Priest still won that very comfortably. Look at how many cards he had left in hand, right? Like that's how you measure how good you're doing in a game of Hearthstone, right? He just had so much value left.
Yeah, the flimsiest half apology I think I've ever heard, but I expect nothing less from Soto. But what a series! And yes, wiping the sweat from your brow. Imagine how Casie feels right now. He got so close to having a very smooth 3-game, 3-0 series against Pavel. It looked like it could have started going a little bit downhill at the very end, but no, he did just secure it with the help of Pavel's cards, which is what Priesters want to do. But let's take a look at the schedule as that first match just flew by. If you are just tuning in, just remember you can catch up on VODs as well later on pretty easily, so don't you worry, it'll only take you 5 minutes to watch it regardless. We do have Yala versus Silvername coming up as our match 2 of the day. And again, we get to see a huge mix of classes. Yala, Warlock, Mage, Hunter, Silvername, Demon Hunter, Priest, Hunter. And I'm not even going to talk about Warrior because that's a given. But still, just so many classes. So much of a mixed bag we have at least this weekend, Soto. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to say before we move on that, Casie, you are my hero. I love you like a brother. Never change. You are exactly what the European region needs. Just one of you is perfect. Just keeping us sane and getting us through the day. You keep on trucking, baby, but still. Pavel, of course. Feel bad for him because he is another great player that I would love to see stick around in Grandmasters, but it's starting to look sticky now for all of those players who started off this week at 2-2 in Division B and are losing their games. They're going to have some issues.
Yep, one thing to note as well is that is the only Division B game we have of our match of the day. The rest are Division A, so everyone else is looking a little bit more secure at least. So I was just going to say, any more matches in Division B you see are going to be dicey because whoever loses is looking in a significantly worse position. But now it's going to be more of a fight for that, for dodging the potential